I'm Anna Murray, author of The Complete Software Project Manager. Today we're going to talk about the worst situation in software development, where you have a lot of problems and the whole project looks as if it's going to hell. How did we get here? In another video, we talked about project risk. Here are the 5 big risk areas on software projects. To learn more about them, take a peek at the other video. My book also has a detailed explanation of risk. There are some other possible causes that I talk about in my book, but this is definitely the most common. Sometimes people are unaware of these risks, and so they sign up for them unconsciously. Or maybe a risk was accepted, and the consequences are just much bigger than previously thought. But now is not really the time to analyze, how did this happen? What's more urgent is to figure out how to get your project back on track. The first thing you need to do is to perform a quick and critical assessment of the project. You need to ask yourself the following question. Is solving the problem merely a matter of additional work? Or is there a question of actual feasibility? Of course, this question can apply to multiple areas of your project and may have a different answer for each. To be clear, in a project with problems, more time is usually necessary, and that means more money. And this can be very uncomfortable. Project leaders and management often get stuck on this issue. This next part is going to be hard to hear. If all you need is time, it's actually a relatively good situation to be in because you know that time is all you need and the eventual outcome is all but ensured. It is much worse if feasibility itself is in question. Here's what that looks like. Let's say a customization or integration isn't working. Furthermore, no one is sure how to get it working. Resources grind away week after week, and at the end, they're no closer to a solution. So you need to diagnose your project feasibility ASAP. Diagnosing feasibility can be harder than it sounds. Asking a programmer, how feasible is it to complete that functionality, can result in an answer so filled with jargon no one can understand it. Here's a helpful tool to diagnose your project. I call it the 3 metaphors of software development. If it snowed overnight and your driveway is blocked, there's no mystery what you need to do. Get out a shovel and dig. A lot of tasks on a software project are like piles of snow. Next, we have the Ikea Desk. An Ikea Desk is definitely more complicated than snow shoveling. We've all spent a weekend on the living room floor assembling one. There are lots of pieces and difficult directions. You may put it together backwards, but with enough time and effort, you'll get it done. Finally, there is the heart surgery. No matter how skilled the surgeon is, if the patient comes in with an unknown underlying medical condition, he may not get off the table. To diagnose your project, you want to identify the heart surgeries. They are the elements that are highly fluid with a lot of unknowns, the ones where feasibility is in question. Here's a hint. To the untrained ear, programmers and other techies often make piles of snow and Ikea desks sound much worse than heart surgeries. There are thousands of records to migrate, or the JavaScript must be fixed on dozens of modules. While a heart surgery can sound like, we'll just custom code an integration. Don't be fooled. Using the metaphors, you can learn to spot the heart surgeries in your project. Next, to get a project back on track, you'll want to reduce or eliminate heart surgeries, even if that means cutting features. You may get resistance on this from the project team and business stakeholders. But remember, feasibility is the lifeblood of your project. Getting all aspects of your project into the known and feasible category is the first best way to get it back on track. Here's a final tip. One thing people often do in a project that's running late and has problems is to try to add resources. Study after study shows this doesn't work. Often the project goes even slower as the new resources are oriented and educated.